I'm not really a big believer in talking too much about writing because nothing I say is going to be any better than even approach being as good as what's on the page. But briefly, the guy who taught me most about writing and about life, Hubert Selby, kind of a mentor, once described himself and his writing as a scream looking for a mouth. And these are the kind of writers I love. Writers who have no choice. The book almost grabs them. And there's a kind of, you could call it desperation, you could call it a calling, you could call it just some kind of apocalyptic drive to get it all down on the page, because the only pain greater than writing is not writing for people in this situation, because not writing leaves them with life. And there's one passage before I read the little passage I'm going to read where O'Brien describes the guy who owns the house, a guy named Double Felix, and of him he says, "He is a drunk because it is a hell that can be purchased. It's a fix. The quest for alcoholism itself is a fix." And that kind of insight really, for me, is worth the price of admission, because you substitute writing for the word alcoholism and you get the kind of irrational drive and the really transcendent and irrational miracle, the fact that a guy living the life O'Brien was living cranked this stuff out in such a beautiful fashion. And it's really humbling to read this, because if you've ever had any experience with addiction or alcoholism, or trying not to be an addict or trying not to be an alcoholic, then you know what goes on in every cell of your body. And when the only relief is the relief you get by putting it down on the page, that's such a gift to the reader, and it's paid for, in this case, with the writer's life. And with that, I will just get to this little section from the book. Since Joseph was kind enough to already sum it up, I'll just pick it up. "I am trembling and in need of a drink, mostly due to my anticipative," I have no idea how to pronounce that, he may have been a drunk, but he had a bigger vocabulary than I do sober, so forgive me. "Mostly due to my anticipative imagination, for it hasn't been that long. It nonetheless hurts, and I like it. We go to her room. She actually leads me by the hand. Maggie has red hair. She'd like to show me what she considers her bad side, but I have put myself in a position that makes this difficult for her. I find myself unexpectedly unconcerned with what she is. Rather, I want proof now that she is. I haven't been inside of Maggie's room since she took it over, and the teenage-esque clutter notwithstanding, neither, would I say, has Maggie. Despite the fact that she's lived in this room for 6 months and intends to stay much longer, the place looks pretty much like a motel room occupied for a night. Substantially similar, this room remains to the room that she spent her first night in. Nothing new in the walls, furniture all in its generic position. It looks simply like an empty room after a dirty laundry and beauty product storm. She pushes me on the bed. Something with Velcro on it nestles in the small of my back. Maggie stands tall above me and removes her clothing. I haven't showered yet this morning, so I may be a little ripe, she says, kneeling to me, playing for me a rhythm that is so bitter, so medicinal. And then here he does something completely eloquent about the act of love, which is not to describe it, and leave a giant space, and then pick it up afterwards. Back at the bar, in the big room, it is not yet 1 o'clock. And what I love about this is that it really captures the life of people whose only life is being loaded. And that's it. Every waking moment is just about trying not to be present. And from what I've read, that's a hell of a way to live. The research I've done. Back at the bar in the big room, it is not yet 1 o'clock, and I'm happily looking down at a tall glass of cold gin. I left her, my antithetic angel, to go about her business, the killing of time, and I presume, and whatever else may jump in her path. Our parting was predictably uncomfortable, plagued with embarrassment, and stung with acrimony. I cannot forgive her for the former, can never repay her for the latter. To the surprise of no one, my service was badly performed. Then, to the extreme surprise of William, author, Maggie was unpleasantly surprised. So here I sit, alone in this big room. A rubber ball A rubber ball pounds the outside wall, returning, I should drink more and I'll be able to pronounce this, returning surely to Timmy's available hand. He's given to dancing around the driveway while mastering the dynamics of spheres. Double Felix remains sequestered in his room, thinking of Laurie, who might be anywhere. Maggie is in her shower, probably masturbating, and Zipper is... where? Ice cubes, spurious and thus doubly negative tea leaves floating in my glass impart to me a clairvoyance, one that is for my purpose. And here he says parenthetically, as I should be for Zipper's purposes, so shall she serve now for mine, she and Maggie. In my glass, both. In the shower, one. Standing undetected outside the shower, the other. Less than 100 feet and 60-some seconds from where I now stand. The beauty of this, to me, this insane awareness that you're trapped in when you're loaded all the time. It's like the more you try to escape reality, the more reality squeezes you. And nobody captures this the way he does. I don't think that kind of dirt will wash off, says Zipper, startling Maggie with her presence. Maggie, quickly recovering her composure and instinctively channeling her consternation to aggression, retorts, I'm sure you know all about dirt that won't wash off. Missing the point. No reason for you to wait for me to finish, Zipper. I don't have any money for you. Zipper doesn't talk, doesn't leave. Rather, she closes the bathroom door and the steam becomes a third presence. Growing a little uneasy, Maggie affects a tone that is observational and distracted and tries. Poor William must really be broke. I've never seen so much cum. You know, Zipper, if you're not going to handle him gratis, you really ought to teach him to jerk off regularly. Zipper's now ready to speak, but it's with some effort that she keeps her voice under control. What you did was not right, she says. What I did? Maggie turns off the shower and throws open the door. Neither woman acknowledges her nakedness as she rips a towel from the rack and indignantly dries her hair. Feigned laughter. I wasn't the only one who did. How dare you? How do you know it was even my idea? You weren't even there. This whole thing is none of your fucking business. Not even you could believe that, Maggie. And I don't care what happened or who helped who. You know it was wrong and you still did it. I'm not listening to this, says Maggie, wrapping the towel around herself. Get the fuck out of my room. Angrily, she steps out of the shower stall and starts to push past Zipper, but Zipper, in a defensive move that is partially reflexive, partially deliberate, spins on the taller woman and with a fistful of red hair, slams her face against the bathroom wall, cop style. Not expecting or interested in pursuing a fight, but not rolling over either, Maggie remains motionless and says, This is nice. Did you learn this at your last gangbang when bachelor number 17 tried to stiff you? Her pluck, this is so Selby-like and it's so beautiful because there's some kind of writing that can't be faked. And you can't make this stuff up.